begin this new year, that the Gaza's health ministry has recently confirmed that more than 108,000 Palestinians have been injured in Israel's onslaught since October 7th, 2023. More than 45,500 men, women, and children have been killed. And the true toll
What's that?
is thought to be multiple times higher. In the words of Omar Bartov, who is actually an Israeli American professor of Holocaust and genocide studies at Brown University, this is a total moral and ethical failure by the very countries that claim to be the main protectors of civil rights, democracy, and human rights around the world. And while we continue to mourn and pray for the loss of those innocent lives, we remain outraged, not only by our nation's complicity in funding, arming, and shielding this foreign nation's genocidal actions, ethnic cleansing, and annexation of the Gaza Strip and beyond, we are also appalled by those in our Cherry Hill and Camden County community, be they the local leaders or everyday citizens who support and cheer on such atrocities. Their actions are without a doubt shameful and will forever be a looming cloud over the history of our region and certain to cast an inescapable darkness on them the day of resurrection. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Al-dhulmu dhulumatun yawm al-qiyamah." Oppression will turn into darkness on the day of resurrection. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant relief to those that are suffering and liberation.
So this will play
to
live.
those that have been oppressed.
I'm one of the leads of the New Jersey Muslim Heritage Month Coalition. When Muslim Heritage Month was first enacted in 2023 by Governor Murphy, our hope was to make this month as celebrated and recognized as African American History Month or Hispanic Heritage Month to bring recognition and pride in the Muslim community. This recognition is not just a piece of paper, but a recognition of the contributions of Muslims in the community and across the region. We want to recognition and proclamation, as Muslim Heritage Month is a very relatively newer part of our state. We do hope in the future to have more of a presence in Cherry Hill and more of a public proclamation as well. And wanted to thank you for your recognition in your opening remarks as well. Thank you.
I am from descendants from Peter Stuyvesant. This is a great country. This is America. But it doesn't seem to have time to celebrate America, Americans that believe in home of the free, land of the brave, and patriotism. Our history, our wars, the people that fought it, and our heritage. The Constitution was, according to the Bible, our founders in the United States. Where's the celebration for that? Do we get a month? A lady who went to school here couldn't even give me change without looking at the cash register. She couldn't figure it out in her hands. The kids around here are saying they're not being taught what they need to learn. They're not being taught history. They're not being taught to celebrate it. They're not being taught to be proud of this country. People, we can celebrate them, yes. But I think it's about time to have a month of celebration of our great and glorious heritage and how wonderful this country is. I would like to have a celebration of my heritage, America, for a month.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking some of your Sunday to be with me. My name is Eric Simkin. You're watching the Political Badass podcast. And by the way, we don't have to badass it. We're calling this Simkin Academy, as in Simkin Academy 101. What we're learning about today is the cultural Marxism, the de-Americanization of America. And that is starting right here in the hotbed in one of the most liberal states that you can imagine. Yet we're turning red. I'm feeling pretty purple myself. Speaking of how I feel, I've had a rough couple of weeks. I haven't been on the air. For those of you that know or don't know, I've been diagnosed with AFib. My heart rate's up, and this stuff just keeps it pumping higher, unfortunately. But I've gotten great care from some cardiologists at the Heart House in Camden County. They're going to help me and nurse me back to health, along with my future wife, Tina, who's been unbelievable. And those who've been following this podcast, her father's the true miracle, dealing with 12 surgeries, ICU for 60 days, being totally open with an open chest. And they're going to save this man. And I'm very thankful for that and thankful for the miracles that I've seen. And today, without further ado, I've got a very good friend of mine. His name is Rick Short, right from the real hotbed of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I always say it like this: what's happening in Cherry Hill in about 6 months' time, we're going to see it in Voorhees, and it's going to trickle down to the other communities and neighborhoods near us. And it's really pathetic. And Rick, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Thanks for having me today.
Very happy
Eric,
to have you, Rick.
I've been following you, and you are a true warrior to common sense.
Common sense. I mean, it's like a dying artist.
Yep.
You know, but we have to hold our ground here, Rick, because what we're witnessing is a demoralization, a lack of culture.
Eric,
true culture.
it's lies upon lies. I mean, we're gonna have a video clip where everyone's gonna be able to witness it. And who in America would be like, oh, this culture proficiency expert is the best? Oh, like the logic that we're allowing these consultants that hate America, hate capitalism, anti-police into our Cherry Hill schools and normalizing it on top of that, and then keeping DEI. Oh, we can't let DEI go. You know, we just learned from the Rutgers report how DEI is causing a hostile bias environment, and our educators don't care. And then on the other side, our township is saying one thing and our schools are saying another thing.
They're going to be the last them standing with DEI, these educators.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
Yep.
And I got into it with just the other day with the superintendent in my school district. And I don't have kids here, mind you, Rick. And I know some of the things that you've been through as a parent are abhorrent, you know, being blocked from going onto school campuses when you got a child in that school. They blocked me from going on campus too, but I don't have kids there.
Right.
If they did, they would have a very hard time keeping me off that campus, and I would fight. But we're fighting the fight. I mean, what else can we do? These people are so radicalized, and they're radicalizing our children.
Eric, there is no, I can't find any other school in New Jersey that is more radicalized than Cherry Hill schools. No, I mean, find it, please email me, call me. I don't know. You can message me. Find me a school in New Jersey that's more radicalized than Cherry Hill.
I'm laughing. It would be funny if it wasn't our children, but here's the deal: they do it all out in the public view.
Yep.
I mean, they're like,
hide it. Hey.
People say, how is this allowed to go on? They're having meetings about this. At least in Cherry Hill, they had public meetings. In Voorhees, they don't have public meetings. They have public votes.
Look, our new what do you call it? Board member, Dr. Brannick once said, Black Lives Matter is not a hate group. I've been doing all this research, and and here I am saying, I'm finally, I'm tired of it. I'm like, okay, well, they support a cop killer, or they support this cop killer, or they support this cop killer. Like, Black Lives Matter hates us, right?
Well, listen,
hates anyone but themselves.
You know what restorative practices are, and what happened in Parkland and all that stuff. But that's but restorative practices is the number 2 out of 12 tenets of Black Lives Matter. It's number 1.
Right. Wait, you forgot to defund the police. Remember that big movement?
Right.
How'd that go? Huh? I mean, how'd that go in New York and Philadelphia?
How did it go when they put their in Chicago BLM, when they had pictures of parachutists coming in and killing Israelis?
Right. Oh, that's
right? They're into all that stuff.
It's just a constant. It's like a, what do you call it? A gerbil wheel, just
it's a
crazy.
Hamster wheel, right?
It's a hamster
wheel.
We're
all on
crazy,
it, and we're paying the bill.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm telling the superintendent, Dr. Hackett. I literally told her in an email, this isn't Hackettstown. This isn't Hackettsville. It's not Watsonville. Monica Watson's the president of the board. She treats it like a Politburo. Okay, it's like literally, it's like insanity. You ask a question and then you want to you don't like their answer.
Eric, in Cherry Hill, I bought a website called AskDrMorton.com. and he can't answer anything, right? Like,
well, nothing
like,
with truth. I mean, they don't like truth.
Well, I mean, they can't answer for this consultant that wants to destroy America, destroy capitalism, and they're working. It's like, okay, then I provide written proof. We have receipts. We have everything that we are working with these people, and it's like, oh, it's normalized. It's okay that we work with these people. Like, you know.
Let's take a look at some of those
Okay,
receipts.
go ahead.
I mean,
Go
this
ahead.
is insanity.
Yes, complete.
Let me see if I can remember how to pull this up because I'm a little slow on the technology. Just because I think some of this medication.
Two types of abolitionists in Cherry Hill.
And I just want to state on the record that abolitionists in this country were essential into
get some wine
abolishing
out of here.
slavery. So I'm a little concerned
All right, we're
about
gonna
the
have some trouble with
negative
that video. Rick,
connotations
I'm
that
gonna
are
be
being.
honest with you.
Okay.
What this video looks like a township committee meeting, right? Is that what that is? 'Cause
Yes,
that looks
one of our township
that
committee
looked
meetings.
very familiar to the one where I saw where they're proclaiming Muslim Heritage Month and all the members of the Islamist, and I don't mean the Muslim community, I mean Islamists, people that want to live publicly with their religion and make other people abide by those rules because, you know, our rules aren't good enough. They wanted a bigger public proclamation. You were there too, making
Right.
a public comment at that meeting, and then it was crazy when they had some of their followers calling in and calling the members of the township committee.
Yeah,
They're all
racist. Yeah,
racist, right?
they get all racist. Yeah, like,
I mean, everyone's a racist. If you don't comply, if you're not in on what they're selling or you know, fully you know, embracing their anti-racism, you're racist.
what you have is you have like everyone on the school board, like, okay, watch this video. This woman says she hates America, hates capitalists. So when they look at this, they have to lie that this woman is good for our children. Like, if I went to a Wawa in Cherry Hill and had a big TV camera and said, hey, you want to see what Cherry Hill School's doing?
Right.
Look at this person. Like, you would watch it and you'd be like, are you crazy? I'm not going to send my kid to this school.
Right.
And they don't care. See, that's the problem. It's got to, you know, everybody kind of in Cherry Hill knows what's going on. Everyone's afraid to speak up because, you know, they got to protect the lie on the lie because it all goes up the ladder. And then that lie now is carrying over to the town council, right? So now all the people on town council are lying. Like,
and town council basically says, well, there's nothing that we could do at schools, but aren't they in charge of collecting
well,
taxes?
one of the town council also works for the schools. And
But they collect the tax money. They set the tax
Right.
rate. They collect taxes. It's
Right.
part of the township committee's.
and there was just a fight in the Cherry Hill Mall, and I come up and I ask, what was, you know, restorative justice? Were any of these kids from Cherry Hill? You know, because restorative justice is making things worse
Right.
in our schools. There's more violence, and now they cook the books. The last report that they came out, they cook the books.
Well, they want to send out little, therapists, right, to talk to everybody when there's a problem. I could tell you, I was in the hospital for a week. I didn't have anyone sitting down with my heart and saying, "Let's try and talk to it and see if it'll work." You know, they're saying, "Hey, what are we going to do to cut this electrode so that we can, you know, get it to pump
Right,
properly?"
right.
It's like surgery. You need to extract whatever's bad and get rid of it like a cancer.
Right.
And that's what this is. DEI is truly a cancer. It's infesting our
Well, Eric,
neighborhoods and
I'm
our
glad.
children's
I'm
minds.
glad you read over the report a lot deeper than I did. Why don't you dive into that?
The DEI,
The Rutgers report.
University? Okay.
It's, you know what? No, wait. One thing before you go. It's like kryptonite. You know, it's like kryptonite. What? Bring that report into a Cherry Hill school board meeting, and then everyone's like, "Oh my
I
God!"
say it's like
kryptonite.
holy water to drown. You know?
We're good. Is that what I should do? I bring in one of those,
I mean, seriously.
like a father starts spreading
I
the
mean, you
water.
gotta start spraying it with the smoke they got there. Listen, you know, I'm Jewish. You know, I asked you, you know, you're Catholic. You know about this stuff. You know?
Oh, man.
I mean, it's time to start having some exorcism with this DEI. So I don't really love to read, Rick. Okay, I never did. Right, it's not my thing. But reading content, watching videos and stuff, very easy. Sitting down reading a book. I mean, listen, I read the Bible. You know, I read a lot of these books. I read Woke Army. Okay, this lady knows what's going on with the radicalization of the radical left with the Islamists. She was basically the daughter of an Iranian cleric, and she didn't want to wear a hijab, so she considered herself a Muslim feminist, and you know, that's a big problem in the Muslim community, but she stands her ground.
Fairfax County, by the way.
Fairfax County.
I mean,
500
that's the next hotbed. I think Cherry Hill has them.
Cherry Hill may.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think we got Fairfax. I've been watching their video.
You see that father get arrested?
I saw the father get arrested. I've also been following the board meetings now in Fairfax.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
so
Go ahead.
all right, so listen, so I get a hold of this Rutgers report, and I have a vested interest in this. One of my daughters goes to Rutgers, in New Brunswick. She couldn't leave her dorm room during finals last year because of all the protests.
Oh, wow.
Now, supposedly they had their endowment threatened, and they know we got Trump coming in. He's going to take everyone's endowment if they allow this shit to continue on these college campuses. But it's not just the college campuses, and here's where it lies. So I'm reading this report, DEI causes violence. I'm like, no shit, right? It's like it's been causing violence, but no one's wanting to talk about it.
Right.
Because they're just champions of this DEI, right? So I'm reading it, and it starts talking about the book White Fragility. And I'm like,
Lord.
I've heard the name White Fragility. I can only imagine what it means, but in my wildest imagination, I didn't fully understand the grasp of it.
But wait, let me take a break. Did you watch the movie Am I a Racist?
Yes, I did watch the movie.
And you saw the soundbite. Okay, continue on. Okay.
Right. Great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
So it's again almost comical, except for this is the truth and reality that we're all living in here. But when I'm reading the report from Rutgers and I'm reading how the book White Fragility has had an influence over people, and basically it takes like a bland, mundane subject like the manufacturing process of corn. CORN, the food you eat, corn on the cob. It's like, and people that read White Fragility read the attributes of corn manufacture as part of the problem of systemic racism. But had you not read White Fragility, you understand that there's issues with farming the land and water supply in the land and all these things.
Right.
Really, the common sense approach does not attach racism
to everything.
To really anything except racism.
The scary thing, which I will show over the next year, is how many books they're pumping our kids about oppression in Cherry Hill schools. I mean, it starts pre-K, kindergarten, and they're going to deny it. But I'm going to. Just think, you just constantly read nothing like, oh, policemen are great. Like, I'm actually looking for like a policemen are great or firemen are great. I don't find it in our schools. All it is, oh, Sally missed the bus, or Sally was on a bus and didn't get off because it's in that neighborhood. Like, it's disgusting. It is disgusting. And it plays with your head and you don't even know it. Can you imagine that 12 years of that crap, of constant? If your parents don't have a strong moral character, your kid's going to be brainwashed.
I can tell you what does happen because I'm in a lot of houses every month. This is one of the things I do consider myself to have somewhat of a finger on the pulse of what's happening around here. And in my profession, I go into people's houses and I'm dealing with, home services stuff, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, stuff like that.
Right.
How many multi-generational households have, adult children laying around playing video games all day and really not being productive members of society like jobs?
Right.
And so I'm already seeing the ill effects of everything we've been talking about. And we've been screaming about this for years now. People are starting to wake up, but it's like, I'm seeing the results. These kids are basically fuck ups and losers, and they're not, though. They don't have to be, but they're making a conscious decision because there's an easier way. If they can prove that they're somehow being oppressed, which, the oppressor versus the oppressor, that's a 100% commie thing, banding together small groups of oppressed people that are even fictitiously oppressed or, being shown the light of how they are oppressed. And then they band together with these other fuck ups and losers. And then they overthrow the strong people. Well, there's only one problem. When you overthrow the strong people, there's no one there to provide concrete foundationary information, money for things, being productive members of society. And that's what I'm seeing more and more every day. And I feel horrible for these families. I feel very fortunate that I was onto this stuff a little bit before most, as you were, and many of us in our circle.
Well, and then you talk about the grades, right? The Cherry Hill Schools is in Rhode Island getting some award because of their collaborative work with the unions, right? They're getting an award. Meanwhile, back at this 12 elementary schools, fourth grade grades are down in the toilet.
Why fourth grade? Did they tell you why?
Well, no,
had something to do with but if you look at fifth grade transit, they come up with different numbers for those people.
No,
it's because they
no.
These
are just state numbers. I mean,
yeah, right.
Fourth graders and eighth graders. Why? I don't have any. Maybe they were the fourth graders were COVID kids. You know, maybe I don't know.
It sounds like an excuse to me. You don't hear the word learning loss anymore at any of these meetings, do you? That's all we heard for 2 years.
No, we just need more culture proficiency because we don't have enough culture proficiency. We don't have enough LGBTQ because we're all biased towards, you know, because we all hate. We all hate the oppressed. We all hate the marginal. It's like the same story.
It's the victimhood game.
Yeah, victimhood.
You know? I mean, listen, I grew up Jewish. I could have been a victim of all sorts of things. I never consider myself to be a victim. I consider myself to be a strong person that has good moral turpitude and wants good things for all people. I never learned bias. I promise you. I learned to accept all people. You're gay, you're straight, you're the same to me. It does not matter.
Right.
Where and what holes you're putting your stuff in doesn't matter to me. It never did. Never will.
Boy, what a line, Eric. Where, what hole you put your thing in. Wow, that's okay.
I just don't care.
Okay, I don't care
about
either.
people, though. I want people to be okay.
I want to see.
I don't want to see people have violence perpetuated on them because of their decisions they make in life. I believe that we should just accept everybody. There's nothing wrong with loving everybody. You don't have to go. But the thing is, when you get home to your house, you are able to shut the door to all of it and have your own privacy. And that's the problem I have. I don't need your stuff being thrown at me, and I don't want to throw my stuff at you. We're talking about Bible thumping. I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. I believe in faith, but I never push it on anybody.
Right.
It's like you take what you can. What did I learn in business? Be a good thief. Take good things from all people and sort of combine that into your own being. And what you learn that's good from people you take, and what's bad from people you leave it at the door. It's kind of it's just all relates to common sense, and that's what we don't have in our education system.
I don't know. Do you follow John Stossel any bit? You know, his video series.
Not really.
I mean,
Tell me.
He's done 2 great videos. He did one like 3 years ago, warning about what's coming. You know, the victimhood mentality, the victim of a schooling, and now he's talking about the victims. Like the video today is pretty much, you know, if these same people remain in Cherry Hill for 10, 25 years in generational, it's going to be just misery.
Well, people have been saying for decades that it takes one generation to lose your society. And I mean, we're there. Yep. We are there.
If we allow it to continue.
So what's going to change things?
I just want to know, because every single person needs to ask the question. I play it all the time. It's Dr. Love. It's one of our consultants. She says she hates, it's basically hates America, hates capitalism. Can you logically watch that and think that's good for our teachers?
To me, that's the same thing as allowing sexual predators to be in the school. It's the same thing. It's no different. And I don't care what people say or think. If you're going to come at me for saying that, they're becoming predators. The prey is every child now. And they're prey upon their weaknesses to try and throw them into these buckets. That's why the LGBTQIA plus movement has become so large. I mean, mathematically, 0.0002% of the population does suffer from some sort of gender dysphoria, which is a mental illness, by the way. Okay, because really, there's 2 sexes, Rick. There's no such thing as gender. Gender is a socially constructed idea of how you identify. Okay. And there's unlimited personalities. So basically, if it doesn't come into your chromosomal makeup of your DNA, which is X and Y, you're either a male or a female. What is a woman? Why can't people answer that? It's an adult female. It's very simple. You just can't have simple answers to questions. Well, going back to education and to education consultants, my father was a 30-year educator, retired in New Jersey, would never want to be an educator today because of all this shit. And he told me, Eric, there really is no need for education consultants, and they're very dangerous for communities because they're the only when they go away, the consultant's gone, the administration then blames that consultant, and all they care about is their $10,000 a month, $10,000 a day, whatever amount of money that they're making, and they have no tie-in to the future of that community. And so just from that on, why are we hiring these consultants? And then how do we hire the one that's standing up on a soapbox saying that they don't support and they want to abolish things like capitalism? That's what makes America. And P.S., it's America, love it or leave it. Okay? You're anti-capitalism, you're anti-American, and then that's what you're teaching our children.
And then we have another consultant that's infected every ELA classroom with DEI. They say it right on video.
What's ELA?
English language arts.
Okay.
English language arts.
You can't, and so I don't know what.
And that's a scary thing that they're again. That's that same oppression thing you're an oppressor, you're oppressed. You know, it's that same mentality. It's like a disease. We all know it's like a disease, and it destroys it.
I mean, it's just bizarre. The parents need to wake up. I go to every school board meeting in Voorhees. I don't have kids there. I never had kids that attended there. I'm thankful I never had kids. My kids went to Marlton. And at that time, Marlton was a much better school district than it is today because they've also been radicalized with board members. That's what happens. So these radicals get on the school board and they start making the decisions on the curriculum and on the policies. And that's basically how the demise happens. I mean, in one of the middle schools in Marlton now, I think it's Francis de Macy Middle School, they have 2 houses, you know, yellow and blue, whatever they want to call it, 600 kids in each one.
Right.
You know, and like 20% of the kids are LGBTQIA plus in the one house and like 8 in the other, you know, 8 kids versus 20% of 600. So it's like, how's that possible if they're not being indoctrinated? Right. This is, I mean, you're the parents. You're the parents. I mean, Rick, you're at every meeting. I've never seen you miss one.
I don't know where they come up with those numbers are just fabricated numbers. I mean, look, there are so many. When I really question things, like when a teacher comes up to a Cherry Hill public mic and says that, you know, they're doing restorative justice every day, every classroom in Cherry Hill West, I'm like, come on. And then I ask, you know, I ask my children, I ask my friends, is this what's happening? No. When a teacher comes up and says, oh, restorative justice is costing us $0. But, you know, 2 years before that, another board member said how extravagantly it costs. I mean, it's just like lie after lie. And then how about this one? I mean, this is getting a little bit dirty in the weeds, but you know about it is like the bond was sold as, okay, our alternative high school is going to be redone at the Lewis building. And then our superintendent comes and says, oh, no. It's been well planned that, you know, we were going to relocate to Cherry Hill East.
You mean the $330 million bond?
The $330 million bond.
$330 million. Just say that a couple times. That is an insane amount of money.
But the question is, you know, was it truthful? Was it misinformation, or was it a lie? I mean, the video and the proof shows that it was planned for the bond, and now it's all of a sudden. But nobody holds anyone acceptable. You know, nobody holds it to the. And then what about the recent numbers that come out for the, you know, the alleged HIBs? They cook the books.
What is an HIB these days? I mean, if your kid gets beat up by somebody, is that a HIB? I don't think so.
No,
because your kid's not a part of the protected class.
No,
right?
But in Cherry Hill, this is what they do. They're going to send you to yoga class, PT workout. I mean,
it's like sending a cancer patient for therapy when you need an oncologist to talk about how they're going to inject you.
It's only Eric. It's only for the marginalized people that get sent to yoga because they don't deserve. You know, it's just these idiotic ideas that these salesmen, these administrators come in and sell.
So they're unaware of the cliche. They're unaware of cliches like it's all fun and games till someone gets hurt.
Right.
You've heard that before, right? Well, that's what's happening. People are getting hurt. Then what do they say? Oh, that's a product of this, and that's because of that. And our consultant says this. I mean,
what about the girl that hung herself in Mount Holly under restorative justice?
I mean,
you know, hung herself in the bathroom.
Can you imagine?
In the bathroom.
16 years old or
12,
no,
she was I believe like 11 in middle school.
I mean, that is devastating. And look at all the families being affected by this. I mean, I wouldn't be able to come through from that. I tell my daughters all the time, you have to make sure. I tell my daughters like all the time on a regular basis, I need you both to be okay, because if something were to happen to one of us, I think that we wouldn't be able to make it through something like that. And I pray for these families.
Eric, it was restorative justice in that school. Eric, it was no hate in that school.
There's no place for hate.
No place for hate in that school.
Right.
But she hung herself. I really think she did that for a sign. Because why? Did you know? I don't know if you know this. Did you know they lock bathrooms during the school day because they can't control, because they use restorative justice?
I know
they lock
windows and some.
They lock the high school and middle school bathrooms because they can't control the kids, because they have no. What?
Well, they let the boys and girls go in there together, right?
Well, that too. That's another problem.
So what happened when that happened is boys and girls go in there and having sex together, right?
Hopefully that's all going to come
to an end.
Come to an end
in New Jersey. I'm very concerned. I'm going to tell you something. Sean Spiller, we talk about this governor race, and I'm on the Republican committee, and I do a whole lot to push, common sense agendas, and we're still a divided party in this state. We are. You got a lot of people that are into this Jack Ciattarelli. He's basically a two-time loser. He couldn't win. He couldn't win coming out of the most draconian lockdowns in the country.
Eric, you're always so cut to the chase. But go ahead, Jet. Go ahead.
Look, I tell him to his face. I don't care.
Okay,
I go on his website. I go on his Facebook page and say, look, you're hoping that the third time's a charm. We don't have time anymore for hope, right? We need results. I mean, I'm backing Bill Spadea personally. I don't think there's a better candidate. Ed Durr, he's a Second Amendment guy. He's from South Jersey. I like him.
Well, it doesn't have the name recognition. Come on.
But it's like, it's a big state, right? And so in a state election, it's not like a county thing. The counties have less control over things because there's not going to probably be a county line anymore where these corrupt political county chair people are going to have a say in anything, which is a great thing. And P.S. in Camden County, if you're a Republican or not, we have plenty of room for you. If you're a former liberal, whatever, we will make room for you in our party because we care, and we've elected a new leader for the Republican committee.
Marvelous. She's marvelous. She's marvelous.
An incredible woman. She's got her head on straight, and she's all about common sense, including people that weren't included before in our party. And we're growing, and we're open for business. That's what we're doing in Camden County. There's other counties, though, that are still very establishment. I mean, they want to, elect people like, what's his name? The fat ass guy, Chris Christie. Talk about two-time loser. I mean, he couldn't even get gastric bypass right. He's like two-time loser on that. But these are the people that back Jack Ciattarelli. They donate to each other. I mean, I know a lot about this stuff. I got to go reset a camera, Rick.
Okay.
Take it away.
Okay. Let's see, where were we? Jumping back to Sean running for governor there. I picked up one thing on that NGA conference. It was kind of weird. One of the things was about First Amendment and stuff, and they brought somebody in from the Federal Department of Justice. I mean, what is the Federal Department of Justice doing at an NGA thing about First Amendment?
I didn't even think they were allowed to leave Washington, D.C. I thought.
Why are they at there? I mean, that's like one of those canary in the coal mine warnings. Like, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to shut down parents' opinion like they do in Cherry Hill? Or they shut down,
any dissenting opinion?
I just go through the names. Me, Dr. Podowitz, Dr. Mentz, plenty of other people, all getting shut down for our opinions that don't toe the line of radicalism, because it's radical. I just call it radical pedagogy. That's what it is. Radical. Welcome.
Well, that there, the NJEA. First of all, when you watch your consultant talk, and she's saying how the teachers unions used to promote racism and all this stuff, right? And now they have the power to promote anti-racism. They should have zero political power or interest in our schools. When I go to Trenton to testify against what they're doing, for example, putting the tampons in boys' rooms or taking the words mother and father and boy and girl out of the curriculum.
No, they've already done that.
All that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was up there. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I was out there with bullhorns, and I've got what's it called? The what's that group? Garden State Groomers, Garden State Equality, or whatever they want to call themselves. I call
it's supposed
them
to be
Garden
equity.
State
It's supposed to be Garden State Equity. No, it's supposed to be equity.
It is, but
they screwed it up.
They're
See, because
groomers.
DEI is equity, but they called themselves equality. Now they can't change their name,
Right?
Because they don't want equity. They want.
But guess
they
what?
want equity,
They're all
equality.
teachers. I talked to every single one of them out there in Trenton as they're sitting there bullhorning, saying that LGBTQ students deserve safe schools. I agree with that. I think every student deserves a safe school. What makes it unsafe is separating the kids into all these groups. And that's what communists do. And that's the problem we're dealing with. So while that's happening, what's the solution? Go to samsorbo.com, SAMSORBO. She is a woman that is teaching parents how to pull their kids in private education, really to homeschool your kids, because that's really the safest thing for you to do. President Trump's going to come in office on January 20th. I can promise you we got a shitstorm of stuff coming down. He's going to put 100 executive orders in within the first 2 days. In my opinion, I think he's going to have a temporary desk set up on the Capitol steps. It's not even going to make it to the Oval Office, so he could start signing this stuff into law. But we've got 1 million cars on a locomotive that's going in the wrong direction, and it's going fast. It's going to take some time to slow these things down. If you're concerned about your children, first thing you got to do is when you talk to your kids, you can't accept their basic bullshit answers, right? What's your kids say when you say, what'd you learn about today? Nothing, right? They're not sitting there open talking to all the parents because they're probably embarrassed of some of the stuff they're talking about and learning about in school. You got to pry into your kid's life in a good way where you become meaningful and effective parenting. Because parenting is not just paying for your kids' lunch, making sure they got nice sneakers and different clothes to wear every day. That's where it starts. That's being a great provider, but you got to provide moral turpitude for your children. Where does it start in my family? It starts with the Bible, and I'm not a Bible thumper, whatever religion you are. I was talking to Rick when you walked in the door today. I said, hey, you're Catholic, right? I'm Jewish, right? But we both read the Bible the same way. Genesis 1:1 is in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? And if you don't believe that there's a God, okay, in America, which is what the fundamental principles and everything that's founded in America is based upon, how do you know not to touch other people's things? Because that's taught about in the Bible. You don't touch stuff, if it doesn't belong to you, you don't touch it. You don't lie. These are the 10 commandments. If you don't have the predicate of that first verse in the Bible, okay, then you don't understand the rule of law in America. And to me, that's part of the problem. We've definitely swayed away from religion, no matter what you do. I say, look, on our Sabbath, you're supposed to light candles. We started lighting candles. Hanukkah, because when you light a candle, when there's light, darkness cannot exist. Just basic fundamental principles of our religion that we can get back to without being Bible thumpers. Just very basic things to reinstill the things, because I know this. I have a moral compass. I've done a lot of wrong things in my life that would be considered wrong, but I knew I was doing them when I was doing them. I knew they were wrong,
right?
Because I knew right from wrong.
So what do you think about our administrators? That, I mean, do they not see it? Is it just door? Because what I've basically come up to with is it's like we're dealing. Our administrators have now, our Cherry Hill School administrators. It's not like the Camden Police Department. Remember the Camden Police Department? In 2012,
before it was taken over by the state?
yeah, because it was corrupt,
yeah,
misinformation, lies, everything else. So
I'll go to Camden before I go to Philadelphia. I'll tell you that right now. These days,
right. So my question to you is do these school administrators in Cherry Hill, Voorhees, or the board, do they have any moral compass to be allowing people? I mean, this is crazy, right? Hate America. It's the same thing. Hate America, hate capitalism. In our schools as consultants,
because they've been through secondary education more recently. That's the problem. 100%.
And they think this is okay.
They think it's okay because really the infiltration of communism started in our secondary education, our colleges.
Right.
And
now it's trying to drip down to our
right. So now though, think about it. Right. First of all, I even used to say this. My parents used to piss them off. You've never done anything outside of education. You went to school, you went to high school, you went to college, you went to graduate school or not, started teaching, but you never left the purview of an educational system. And educational systems are designed as indoctrination camps. That's what they are. And we all understand that. ABCs, 1, 2, 3.
Some of them, some of the colleges, not everyone.
Secular schooling, right?
Okay.
It's either you're going to a religious school or you're going to secular school. I'm just saying the Dewey Decimal System. Dewey was a communist, right? Global standards of metrics, right? Let's get rid of the hard to deal with, eighths and quarters and, halves and go with tenths, right? Because it'll make it easier. It's a global standard, globalist standard. So schools have always been designed as methods of indoctrination. That's why we learned our math tables. And those were good things about indoctrination. You would remember from repetition. But what they're being taught to repeat now is dangerous. And that is where things have changed. So you take a lot of these educators, and I can tell you from many that I've looked into, look at how long ago they've gotten their doctorates. A lot of them got them during COVID, actually. Okay. I call them fake doctors. I mean, I don't call somebody a doctor unless they're a medical doctor. I mean, my sister's got her pharmacy doctorate, but I don't call her Dr. Simkin. She's, that's just not what it is. But these people are called the credentialed class. So you've got your working class people, which they've totally misnomered now. Now the working class is a Starbucks barista. That's what they consider the working class. That's where the Democrats made their mistake in this election. They thought they had the working class because they misnomered the working class people. That's not the working class where, they're really contributing a higher amount of taxes, for example. I mean, I know what I pay in taxes. I'm not belittling anybody who works for Starbucks. I think anyone that's working is doing a good thing. But what's happened is in secondary schools, that's all that's being promulgated is all this bullshit. And then that bullshit is being brought right back to elementary grades, and it just continues. So the longer that cycle's allowed to continue, when I say allowed to continue, you're going to have the
longer the lies continue in Cherry Hill schools that these people are good, the worse the community will get.
And it's going to be compounded each time because it's like when you're
because look, you graduate. Say I graduate from West, and I believe in implicit bias. I believe in microaggressions. I mean, it's like you're like ready for a fight, man. You're ready for a fight. Let's go to a bar when we're 21 and let's get into a fight, a racial fight. I mean, it's just incomparable logic to think that these race baiting things, they're going to be angrier people,
and we're paying for it.
Yes.
We're paying dearly. I mean, I know this. They just came in every household in Voorhees to do a reassessment on taxes because they swore they're not going to increase the tax cap. We used to live under a 2% annual tax cap to cover the school district's increase in expenditures. That's why you had a $330 million bond because they couldn't fit it in.
Right.
I mean, actually, P.S., when I lived in Cherry Hill back in 1998, they put up a $5 million bond that was vehemently opposed and didn't pass for $5 million.
Wow.
I remember that like it was yesterday. I was pissed. I'm like, $5 million, crazy. 330 though. Now, granted, I've seen the condition of the schools. I think
so. Voorhees is going over the 2%, or are they allowed to go 10 now? Right? Like there's some new law.
So now, so
they make their own laws.
That one in. Well, it's like an insurance company. If an insurance company doesn't like you, they can either raise your rates to you can't afford them, or they can drop you. Right. I mean, the same thing happens in government. You can't sue them. You can't sue these government employees for what they do. They got an immunity. I mean, and so they're going to raise everyone's taxes. What did my taxes go up? I don't know, $600 a year. Doesn't really affect my life much, but I know people who it does. I know people that are living hand and mouth in Voorhees that are going to have a problem digesting that. And that's going to make it out of reach for some people, or they're going to have to go without other things to miseducate these children.
And then the next year happens, and then they raise your taxes again to 6%. Right. Nobody says anything. Then they measure it again, and then before you know it, you're like a North Jersey.
I'm not a genius with finances. I'm pretty good at it with basic math. I mean, don't ask me to run a bunch of calculus and stuff. I mean, I could do some.
Right.
But I could tell you this: I can go to any school district that's spending $60 million a year, and I guarantee I can cut 5% of the budget in about a day. I mean, it's not hard, okay? Because I know they're blowing the budget by 5% every year because I see at these meetings. So, quick example: Voorhees decides that they want to get qualify for every grant that's possible. Okay, grants are bullshit. Okay, grants are we'll pay you to do what we want you to do, and what the state wants you to do is all the stuff we're talking about. So the more you take, the more you have to do. Right? That's what how grants work. Not only that. They did a special education grant, and I do think the special education director is doing a good job because at least she gives accurate reporting at these board meetings. Probably the only administrator that does. P.S. They pay $150,000 a year to a woman called the Special Projects Coordinator. Okay, she prepares all these reports. The same reports that when my mother was a director of special services in Marlton would stay up for countless hours to earn as part of her, probably at that time, 20 years ago, $100,000 an hour. Now it's 202. Okay, $202,000. Right? They write a grant to get this grant money, and then they get a $5,000 stipend from that grant, like a bonus for doing it.
Wow.
My mother's like, that is, I've never even heard or imagined or would have requested it. Right. So that's what's going on. So they want to open up a pre-K. I don't know how pre-K is going on.
Pre-K going wild over in Cherry Hill.
So here's a statistic that blew my mind. I think it was like 62% of the pre-K students are special needs.
What?
62%. I kid you not. Yes.
How can that be?
Well, the state funding formula is higher. Like, so, they're these educational abolitionists, right? They want to get away from treating people differently as, like, I don't know if you remember this, but as when slavery was abolished, African Americans were considered 4/5 of a white person, right? It's a problem. Well, now a special needs child is considered 1.5 times the value of of a non-special needs child. Right?
So you're saying they're inflating the numbers.
I'm saying it's a big number. I mean,
Well,
there's something in the water.
I can tell you a general number from Cherry Hill is that 20%
Right, well.
of our students are special needs, and they've treated them like, you know, like they've treated them horribly.
I'm very
Hill.
sensitive to special needs kids because my mother, like I said, was a special ed director in the district, and I grew up hearing the stories and the horror stories and how every parent was in there fighting to get the most for the kids, as would I, and as would any good parent. So I'm very sensitive to it. I do think that that a special needs child you need more. But are they selecting kids to be special needs? Well, we know this. There's more counselors in our public schools now than ever that can tap a kid and say, let's get you. And instead of having the child study team evaluate your kid, because when the child study team does it, they have to notify the parents. Now that if it's an employee that taps your kid, they don't have to get your parents' permission. So that's where the whole LGBTQ 5756. These are all tip of the iceberg things.
Oh boy,
they're all tip of the iceberg type things.
That's my current lawsuit.
Yeah.
So it's still in, I guess,
purgatory. You sued your school district, yeah?
It's still in purgatory.
Good for you.
We're still waiting for
they should conclusion. They should all be sued personally. I'm telling you, and we should be running these people out of our towns like they deserve.
I gotta, you know, I hate to sound like a skipping Led Zeppelin record, but I gotta ask you, like, how are you sitting there? You know, do you let your kids lie? You know, do you know, I at the school board members, do you let your kids lie?
Right.
Well, so then why are you letting our consultants and our administrators lie? I mean, how can you, like, look, the ropes, the administrators, they're running out of rope.
Well, if you give somebody enough rope, they're going to choke themselves. I mean, hang themselves. You know,
and
that whole graphic.
Yeah, I was going to say, remember a little.
I mean, Kwame Morton.
Yes.
Dr. Kwame.
Dr. Kwame.
Wonder what kind of crackerjack box he got his doctorate degree out of. You know? I mean, seriously, that's part of our problem. You know, it doesn't mean anything to me that you're a doctorate or something. It doesn't. What matters to me is results. I'm a results-oriented person.
Right.
I'm an eat what you kill. I don't get a big salary. I get paid commission. You know, you sell something, you make money type of thing, right? I mean, I'm all for big salaries too. But,
so you getting back to the rope and the noose. So you saw saw the photo.
I did see that. Let's see if we got audio on that one.
All right.
I messed us up on the other stuff, I think.
But more problematic, and you know, as I'm reflecting, more problematic in that information was posted on social media site with my image and caption that actually went viral. Last week coming into work, we received a tremendous amount of vile, vulgar, disgusting emails, posts as well from that information that had gone out, racial epithets, threatening messages, things that truly have no place in, I think, our society. And it's very disappointing. But share one such message that was posted on social media that I received. Sorry, this is blocked. Can't see it, but anyway, there you go. This is a message. So this is something that was posted on social media. This is the trail of that my picture was on and the district was on, and the individuals began to target and to make these type statements. But essentially is make tar and feather great again, with a noose and hanging someone. And I guess, where I am in my mind is that, I understand that this is a national politicized conversation and politicized agenda that truly that we're not taking part in. I'm an individual who loves children. It's about doing the best that we can do for our children. That's what our administrative team and our teachers are all about. For what I know of Cherry Hill community, this community loves kids. They love people and want the best to happen for their kids. But in all things, as we move forward, I just think it's important for us as a community to be mindful of the need to maintain civility in all of our actions. And listen, I'm good. I'm great. My kids aren't.
So, Rick, tell me a little bit about that dialogue there. What happened?
So this I would have to tell America, this was the worst school board moment I have ever listened to. Why? I mean, you hear this whole story about how, you know, there was so much hate brought and this and that. And I did 2 minutes of research to find out that the guy that posted the news, you know, the rope and noose, lives like 1,000 miles away in Florida.
Right.
And the problem is that this is the problem, because some of the news reporters that come to the school board meeting reported it. And then it made it sound like, you know, it was community people with all this hate.
Oh, so basically he's accusing the community of Cherry Hill that he serves and gets paid
Right.
by as being racist.
Yep. If that's your interpretation,
That's
racist,
basically what I mean.
hatred, I mean, it was a horrible, horrible school board moment. And people need to understand that causes this, because these people live under controversy. Like, oh, well, this means we need more cultural proficiency in Cherry Hill because we're all racist. I mean, this is what we were told 3 years ago.
So
because we needed anti-racist training. This is what we were told. This is why Dr. Kinde, we needed to use Dr. Kinde and Dr. D'Angelo, because these people are going to help fight racism that didn't exist, because it's a lie. These people come in, they tell you that there's so much racism when there isn't, and there's all this hate, and there isn't in Cherry Hill. They are gaslighting the community.
I've been to plenty of football games in my life, high school football games, never a problem. My father was a high school principal also, right? So 2 educators, 2 that were far more proficient and far better than any of these clowns that we're talking about. And I told my superintendent, both my parents were public education educators, both far more competent and capable than you. She got all upset. I guess she was butthurt, but it's the truth. I went to plenty of high school games. My father was the principal of Pemberton Township High School.
Oh, wow. Okay.
During the late 70s, early 80s, the biggest race riots of the time. White guy in a black school. I used to go to school with him. The students all loved him. The students would be friendly with me. I went to plenty of high school football games at night, at day, or whatever, wherever, with whatever race or ethnicity, dominant schools that there were. And there was never a fear of life going to these games. I don't want my kids going to a high school football game at night. Do you? I mean, it's dangerous these days because that's all they talk about. I mean, you let your kids go. I'm not saying you can't, but it's different. It's different.
Well, the future under these people is just horrible.
It's dark.
It's dark. Yep.
It's dark, and they've made it dark.
And they've fabricated these lies. And our superintendent before said that well, America is systemically racist and we must act. We must take action. Another district lie, like
what's it going to take to get the truth out of these people? That's the question.
Time. Their time is short.
It's got to be enough of us standing up against it. And that's what we need. We need 100 people showing up at a school board meeting on our side, not 10.
Well, the website, Cherry Hill Schools Exposed, chschoolsexposed.com is just one more mean to get the information out. chschoolsexposed.com.
Rick, that's a great thing that you're doing. Listen, we're running short on time. We're going to finish up with a video of how to have your voices heard. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thanks for spending some of your time. God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless America. We need to keep New Jersey schools focused on education and not disrupted by controversies. This is not what we want. We will not allow our children to be force-fed curriculum we oppose. And lastly, we will not co-parent with the government. Thank you again.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Simkin. I'm a dad, and I'm here because the social contract that exists between New Jersey residents and the public education system has been breached by the state of New Jersey. We, the people of New Jersey, have entrusted you for the education of our children. We expect that you will maintain our rights to direct the education of our children. I've yet to meet a single parent or an adult who's okay with the idea that schools keep a secret from the parents. Policy 5756 is a serious problem, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. The few local districts who did hold up their oaths of office and adopted a revised policy 5756, which required parental notice if a child receives any form of gender-affirming care, the New Jersey Attorney General sued those districts. Whole child education, DEI, and SEL, in my opinion, they are all abject failures. And I say this to my fellow parents and residents. If you don't start to listen, you need to pull your kids. And we do not co-parent with the government.
My name is Eric Simkin, and I am running for the Board of Education in Voorhees Township under the slate name Voorhees Children First. And it's exactly that. We are putting our children first. And why am I running? And we learn from a very young age, from Deuteronomy 6:7, and thou shalt teach diligently to thy children. And what is they? It's the values, virtues, and beliefs that families in this country have been passed down to for countless generations before ours. And it is our right and our purpose to ensure that our children are instilled with those same values that we were taught. And today in public education, that is a direct conflict of the Department of Education from the federal level to the state, to the county, to the local district, and from the NJEA. They are pushing a radical educational agenda that attacks our families. If you haven't looked at public education in the last 2 years, you need to look. It's a really ridiculously unsafe situation for families and children. And I ask that everyone repeats this line when you're talking to somebody about education, and that is, we do not co-parent with the government or the NJEA. And thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Simkin, and I'm a lifelong member and resident of the Southern New Jersey community. I currently reside in Voorhees Township. So why are we here? Let me start by sharing a passage I find inspiring and a pillar of my own family's legacy. Deuteronomy 6:7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. What does then mean? The word of God. We are all leaders who can impartially ensure the Voorhees Township Public School District is well run. And please join me when I say, we do not co-parent with the government. This is a fight we cannot lose.
Dancing in the flames, the people cursed his name, bowed at the altar of the father of lies. But there's a number to their days and all their evil ways. The Lord's gonna turn away from all their cries.